There are two kinds of people in this world. People with fuck you energy and people with fuck me energy. Okay, stick with me. This isn't actually as crude as it sounds. This is a framework that I learned from one of my teachers, the Light Dark Institute, who I am dear friends with. Please go check out their work. And it's a thing I talk about more than anything else in my life. If you have been on a date with me, if you've spent the afternoon with me, you have heard me talk about this. Today I want to lay out what it means, why both sides are actually a trap, and what it looks like to find your way out. Where most people don't go with this. In a world where it shows up in the bedroom, because it doesn't just show up in daily life, it shows up in the bedroom, it shows up in kink, in the way that most people don't understand. So let's get into it. So hello everyone, my name is Emily Lett. This is another episode of Soul Kink Therapy. I am a therapeutic dominatrix and coach, lover of kink and therapy and psychological torture, and based in Boulder, Colorado. Today we are talking about these two energies, fuck me energy and fuck you energy. So what does this mean? So let's start with fuck you energy. Fuck you energy is this. I would rather give up connection in order to stay in my own power. So fuck you energy are the people, you can feel this from them. They're just like, fuck you, I don't need you. I'm my own island. I can stay in my own power. They would, and the idea is because for these people, the idea of giving up their own power is so terrifying that connection, even though they might want it, it's the first thing to go over their own power. Fuck me energy is the mirror image. It's when people say, I would rather give up my own power rather than lose connection. If you have fuck at me energy, you're often self-critical, you're maybe self-deprecating, self-loathing maybe quietly. Your logic is, I'll get rid of whatever I need to. I'll shrink, I'll unburden, I'll erase anything about myself in order to stay in connection. That can be very egregious, and it can be really, a huge issue for a person, or it could just be subtle. These subtle forms of like, yeah, I'll do whatever you want, or yeah, wow. Now, what's really interesting is people in fuck me energy, it can be so subtle where it's just like they put people on pedestals. Because as soon as you put somebody on a pedestal, you actually end up shrinking yourself. Because you fall out of the reality that you are not equal as somebody else. So you can also take a look at this in terms of people in fuck you energy could be an avoidant attachment, and people in fuck me energy could be more anxious. They're just like, no, please. And fuck you energy could be like, yo, step back. Don't get in my space. Now, here's the thing, what's really interesting about both fuck me and fuck you. Because you can literally walk down the street and be like, fuck you energy, fuck me energy, fuck you, and just like categorize everyone. And once you listen to this episode, you're going to start seeing this in people. You're going to be like, oh, that person's fuck you energy. Oh, that person's fuck me energy. It's like almost like waking up from the Matrix. You see it everywhere. So here's the trick. Both of these things actually suck. Like, they suck. They keep us from intimacy. They keep us from self-love. They keep us from giving and receiving equal amounts of love. The antidote to both of them is, I fucking love myself and I fucking love you. But you have to start with yourself, because otherwise it slips into fuck me energy. You get it? So I fucking love myself. I love myself and I fucking love you. Do you see how powerful that is? The thing is like a lot of us have never been told that is even an option because it's never been mirrored to us. We've never seen somebody who has, actually a teacher of mine, John Wineland, describes it as strong spine, open heart. Strong spine as in, I know who I am. I love myself. This is not something that can be contorted because it's a strong spine. I am in my own body. I am in my own sovereignty. And I have an open heart, which means that I can receive you fully and I can love you fully. these two energies that balance each other. Most people never knew that that's even an opportunity in existence. It's also, for me, I really understand this as this in a more spiritual context of like of like divine collective consciousness, collective union, that we are actually all the same being. We are all the same organism. We are all the same. It's just like how mushrooms, right? You can have fruiting bodies up miles apart, but they're actually one organism. It's the same idea in the spiritual sense that I bring into this concept, which is like, I am you, you are me. I love you because I love myself. You are a reflection of myself. This might be a more advanced concept for folks who have not ventured into those realms before. But the reason why I want to share this is because I want to share a little bit about my own story and how this has helped me so much. So I am a reformed fuck you energy. The idea is that like growing up, I saw my parents' marriage and I was like, to be in love, I have to sacrifice everything and not have my own spine, which is sort of how my mom is in relationship. It's like, so I was given this option. I was like, I could either be my own island and stay in my own power, or I could like whittle myself away and shrink myself into something in order to fit a mold into what somebody else might, especially a man, if I was going to love a man, would want from me. I just felt like falling in love and being in love would force me to sacrifice so much of myself. And that just felt so unbearable, the idea of doing it. So I started creating this armor around myself of fuck you. Like, no. And specifically as a cis woman who was heterosexual at the time, wanting to date men. This idea that men were going to take something from me if I was going to be in a relationship with them. And that just felt so embarrassable. And so I just became more and more fuck you. The thing is, and I see this a lot with people who are in fuck you energy, is that there's also a status thing there where it's just like, I will not allow myself to be in a lower status than someone. If I am on a lower status than someone, that means that they can't see me. They're trying to get one up on me. And so it's like, fuck you, I'm better than you. Fuck you, I'm better than you. What happened to me was that I remember in college, somebody came up to me and they were like, I'm so intimidated by you. And I remember being like, yes, I did it. I won. I am the high status bitch. And then at the same time, there was another voice in my head that was saying, I am so lonely. I'm so lonely. I don't want to die on this pedestal by myself. I've worked so hard to get on this pedestal, but Jesus, I'm so lonely. And I remember struggling with that so much, but also not knowing how to stay in my own power and love somebody. The thing also that I find with people who are in fuck you energy is that like because really behind a fuck you energy is this deep fear that I am fragile, that somebody can take something from me. I love this phrase, only fragile things need protecting. Only fragile things need an armor. Because otherwise, like, the reason I had to build up this armor and armory around me was there's this fear that I could lose myself. As I began to mature and heal and work with my partner specifically, letting him in, I realized I don't need armor, because there's nothing anyone can take away from me. And through all of this self-work, it helped me come back into really allowing love to permeate within and without me. So also being a dominatrix actually really, and moving into a career as a dominatrix really helped this too. Because being a dominatrix is all about, like, I first went into this role as a dominatrix because I wanted power. But I wanted to do it consensually because it was becoming so gross and leaking out in all of these unconscious ways in my relationships. I was like, no, I want to actually practice this in a very consensual, clean way so that I could get it out of my system in other places. And it was profoundly powerful. And by doing it, it lessened, it took the burden off. And so I was able to get a little bit more space to start working on these other parts of myself. Now, for people who are in fuck me energy, what's really interesting is that we see people who will do anything. They can often come off as deeply generous and caregivers, and they can be, they could be like, wow, you have such a good heart, you're so generous, but really underneath that and they can be, you know what I mean, it's a beautiful quality, but underneath that generosity you can feel the shadow. You can feel this like, oh God, please like me, or oh God, I hope I'm valuable, please tell me I'm valuable, because it's like their own spine is constantly collapsing. And so they have to constantly be proving their worth, and they do that through connection. But when they do that, it's actually not, this is the thing, if you slow down and really feel it, they're not actually doing it for the other person. They're doing it for themselves. And that's when you start to see the breakdown of, wait a minute, this is not a clean way to give and receive love. Does that make sense? So I want to keep moving on. I want to now apply this to the world of dominance and submission, because I think it gets really interesting. So there's a common assumption that being submissive means being in fuck me energy. That like submission requires giving up all of your power to stay in connection and center someone else at your own expense. And yes, like a lot of people who are naturally in fuck me energy are drawn to submission. They are self-critical, they struggle with self-acceptance, and they fantasize of someone else like taking the reins from them because they want relief from the burden of their own self-loathing. Raise your hand if this sounds like you. These are a lot of my clients who have come and work with me. You can hear their stories in previous episodes of the podcast, that they're like, oh God, it's the weight of being me is so extreme. Please, I just need a little relief. I just need a little catharsis. And here's the thing. The reason why I want to point this out is because that catharsis will never be the thing that heals them unless they're working with very skilled doms that understand how to bring them back to themselves. Because the antidote, again, to fuck me energy is I fucking love myself. But a lot of times in submission, unless the dom, so for example, for me as a dominant, specifically with clients, my sole role is to bring them back to themselves. To use my status, my hierarchy, to almost like demand that they find their own skin in order to serve me. Because here's the thing is I don't want people in fuck me energy serving me, because they're not actually serving me, they're serving themselves. They're in their own collapse. And so if they're going to serve me, they have to find their own sovereignty, their own autonomy, their own spine, so that they can truly love me and I can truly love them, even when we are in a hierarchical power dynamic. So, but otherwise, a lot of subs fantasize about submission just as a way to get away from themselves. And that's when I say you need to slow down. And that you're looking for the wrong thing. You're looking for the wrong thing here. So I call these people who are in fuck me energy, who are like clawing at a submissive experience. I call these folks frenzied submissives. Because it's like, please, God, please help me. Just take this from me. Please let me do this. Now, they can be the most cool cucumber in their normal day lives. and then have this frenzied submission, like, let me do it, but it's often because they are so numbed out. They are so like hidden. They are so disassociated in their normal lives that it's only when they're by themselves or when they're not in this like deeply caregiving role where they're like they're able to prove their worth, that they really sit back with their own self, their lack of self-love. And that's when it's like, please let me just take this away from me. So I want to take a moment to honor the people who are in this role. If I'm talking to you, if you hear yourself in what I'm saying to you, I want to let you know that like this is so common. It's so common, and there is another way of being. I promise you, there is another way of being, and dominant submission could be a way to explore that, but you will never get the dynamic that you're ultimately hoping for, the one to bring you peace, unless you are willing to do the work to come back to your own spine. This could be, I always say this work has to be done through the body. Do not, going to a talk therapist, some talk therapists work, in my opinion, like it has to be done through the body. And so finding a somatic therapist, finding somebody, internal family systems is a really great pathway. Working with somebody like me, a therapeutic dominatrix, to explore this parts work in nature, but doing this through the body. But I'm just saying like you're not alone, and this is so common. So that's for people with fuck me energy. Now I want to talk about people with fuck you energy. A lot of times people with fuck you energy who want to explore submission, I'm raising my hand because this used to be me. These folks, they want to surrender so much, but the idea again of giving up power is so terrifying that a lot of times their fantasies, I'm talking about fuck you energy. Yeah. A lot of times their fantasies, and kinks get wrapped up in being forced to do something. So, for example, because I believed that submission and surrendering was weak, and that to do so would be to give up my own power, which again was the last thing that I ever wanted to do, a lot of my erotic fantasies was about being taken advantage of, right? Because then I'm not consenting. I'm forced to do it. It's not my fault if I have to surrender because, I didn't openly consent to it, so I can't be blamed. I can't be blamed for wanting to surrender because I didn't want it. It was just forced on me. So this is where like consensual non-consent comes into play, being taken advantage of. A quick note, first of all, I call these folks people who have fuck you energy, who want to surrender. I call these folks reluctant submissives. Reluctant submissives can be a little tricky to work with because there's so much hiding in their submission, because they don't want to admit it. So a lot of times this is where you see the archetype of the brat. The brat in the kink world. And the brat is a submissive who wants to taunt, who wants to tease, who wants to push back on their dominance. Oftentimes very playful, but some brats, and I've seen this in a lot of my strong female friends, are, I will surrender to you if you rip it out of my cold dead hands, but also please try to rip it out of my cold dead hands. This is the brat. And you see this in a lot of strong women. This can be really tricky to work with. And also it is another huge neon sign for like, there needs to be some trust work and some healing work done on their parts. And so if you hear yourself in this and you are somebody or a reluctant submissive, and again, me, I was this, I want to let you know that there is another way of being. There's another way of being, one where you get to embrace the thing that actually turns you on, because there's no such thing as giving up your power. There's no such thing as your power being taken away from you, because you are you. You are an accumulation of your ancestors, of spirit, seen and unseen forces, of wholeness. And once you can sit back and relax into that wholeness, all of a sudden you don't have to fight so hard. Once you can, and that often has to do with doing some deep inner work on those parts of yourself who are actually pretty terrified that you aren't powerful. Those are the deep inner parts, usually child parts, that need to be addressed. And it's the work that I had to do in order to truly understand submission and truly be able to let love in. For years, I was caught in this war between these sides of myself. God, I want to love. I want to be in a deep divine relationship. And I also am so terrified of doing so. If this is you, I want to let you know there is another way. Another note is something I see often in cross-dressers around this who are forced feminization. This idea that they are against their will, they are taken advantage of or tricked, or somehow they have to be feminized. They have to wear women's clothing. Again, what we see is that it's another example of this is something they dearly want in their life, but because they're so ashamed of wanting it, they can sidestep that responsibility by saying, well, I guess it's not my fault if you forced me to do it. I didn't actually say I wanted to do it. Now, in the case of both of these things, the more that there's a maturing that happens with self, a healing, what you might see, and this happened in my case, is that this is always the tricky thing that happens with kink, is if you use it as a pathway to liberation and transformation, you end up healing the thing that made it so hot in the first place. And so it doesn't actually hold that the idea of being forced to do something doesn't hold the same charge as it once did. It's still there, but it's not the thing that like really that I need anymore. Now, that doesn't mean my eroticism completely went away. It just means it shifted and changed and broadened. Not only broadened, but it also went deeper. I can go deeper with somebody because they're not all of these hidden landmines everywhere. So that's for the reluctant submissive. Now, I want to start wrapping up the short podcast, coming back to this frame. I fucking love myself and I fucking love you. When we really open ourselves to this concept, I find it revolutionary because we don't often see this portrayed in media, in love stories, in songs, in epic poems of how love works. Because we often see like, well, if I love this person enough, I can love enough for both of us. Or if I can love this person enough, I can be the stopgap into their fuck me energy so that they'll stop collapsing and they'll come back to me. Or I can love this person enough that I will forget all of my pains. And we just don't see that. I mean, we see it, it's all the savior energy one way or another. We just see this play out so many times. Trevor Hall, a musician based in Colorado, he's a pretty famous musician. He has this lyric that has just moved me to tears. And it really, I think, exemplifies this idea of I fucking love myself and I fucking love you. And that is, my love is just a reminder. Find your center. I'm going to say it again. My love is just a reminder. Find your center. It gives me goosebumps every time I say that. Because it is this vow that I will never try to heal you. I will never try to be something other than the depth of my own love for myself and for you. It is your job, my love, to find your spine. It is your job to do your healing work. It is your job to come into your throne so that we can sit on our thrones together. If that isn't the most epic love poem, the most epic love concept that you've ever heard, I don't know what is. And for me, that is the basis of profound submission and dominance in a spiritual sense. When two people, allow themselves to exist on different hierarchical planes, but are still in that cosmic connection of two thrones, the throne of the submissive and the throne of the dominance, and they create a symbiotic relationship. Like it's almost like the Taurus. sign of the infinity sign between them of energy flowing, that I feel like is us all in our highest selves. So I leave you with this wish that you too can find your love, your fucking love for yourself, and your fucking love for your partner, your family, your friends, your community, your life. God bless.